On the chilly morning of January 15, 1947, in the Limert Park neighborhood of Los Angeles, a mother and her young child embarked on what seemed like a routine walk. As they strolled along the sidewalk, the mother's gaze was drawn to an unsettling sight in a vacant lot: the naked body of a young woman, severed at the waist and meticulously posed. At first, she mistook the pallid figure for a discarded mannequin, but the horrifying reality soon became apparent. The woman's face bore deep lacerations extending from the corners of her mouth to her ears, a gruesome mark known as a Glasgow smile. Her body had been drained of blood, rendering her skin ghostly white, and the absence of blood at the scene indicated she had been killed elsewhere. Nearby, investigators discovered a heel print and a cement sack containing watery blood, suggesting the perpetrator had transported and staged the body with calculated precision. The Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, swiftly took charge of the investigation, enlisting the assistance of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, to identify the victim. Utilizing a then cutting-edge device called a sound photo, akin to a primitive fax machine, the FBI received blurred fingerprints from Los Angeles. Remarkably, within 56 minutes, they matched the prints to Elizabeth Short, a 22-year-old aspiring actress. Short's fingerprints were on file due to a January 1943 job application at the Army's Camp Cook Commissary and a September 1943 arrest for underage drinking in Santa Barbara. The FBI also possessed her mugshot, which they disseminated to the press, further fueling public intrigue. Short's gruesome murder quickly became a media sensation. The press sensationalized her life, referring to her as the Black Dahlia, a name allegedly inspired by the film The Blue Dahlia, 1946. Newspapers speculated about her lifestyle, with some suggesting she was involved in the Hollywood party scene, while others painted her as an unfortunate victim chasing fame. The case became one of the most infamous unsolved murders in American history. Born on July 29, 1924, in Boston, Massachusetts, Elizabeth Short was the third of 5 daughters to Cleo and Phoebe May Short. Her early life was marked by turmoil. During the Great Depression, her father's business collapsed, and he disappeared, leading many to believe he had died by suicide. This left Phoebe to raise her daughters alone in Medford, Massachusetts. As a teenager, Elizabeth underwent lung surgery for bronchitis and severe asthma, prompting doctors to recommend warmer climates. Consequently, she spent winters in Florida with family friends. In 1942, Elizabeth reunited with her father, who had resurfaced in Vallejo, California, after faking his death. She moved in with him briefly, but their relationship was strained, leading her to relocate to Santa Barbara, where she faced legal trouble for underage drinking. Following her arrest, authorities sent her back to Massachusetts, but she returned to Florida and later moved to Los Angeles in July 1946. There, she worked as a waitress and aspired to break into the film industry, hoping for a career in Hollywood. The investigation into Elizabeth Short's murder was one of the most extensive and challenging in LAPD history. The FBI assisted by running records checks on potential suspects and conducting nationwide interviews. Given the precise dissection of Short's body, authorities initially suspected someone with surgical expertise. Medical examiners noted that the body had been bisected using a technique taught in the 1930s called a hemicorporectomy, which led investigators to focus on individuals with medical training. Despite these efforts, the case quickly became convoluted, with numerous false leads and confessions. Over time, more than 60 individuals confessed to the crime, but none could be definitively linked to the murder. A particularly suspicious lead was an anonymous letter sent to the Los Angeles Examiner, purportedly from the killer. The letter, constructed from cut-out words and letters from newspapers, taunted the police and included Elizabeth Short's personal belongings, such as her birth certificate, business cards, and an address book. The package had been carefully cleaned with gasoline, erasing any potential fingerprints. Investigators speculated that the killer enjoyed playing cat-and-mouse games with the authorities, further deepening the mystery. The media frenzy that ensued made it difficult for investigators to discern legitimate leads from the countless hoaxes and false reports that flooded the department. Several witnesses reported seeing Elizabeth Short in the days leading up to her murder. She had last been seen alive on January 9, 1947, at the Biltmore Hotel in downtown Los Angeles, where she was reportedly waiting to meet a man. Employees at the hotel stated that she appeared nervous and seemed to be expecting someone, though no definitive details emerged. One of the most persistent theories involves Dr. George Hodel, a physician and known figure in Los Angeles' social scene. Hodel became a prime suspect due to his medical background and alleged connections to Elizabeth Short. His son, Steve Hodel, a retired LAPD detective, has spent years investigating his father's potential involvement, uncovering evidence he believes links George Hodel to the crime. This includes similarities between his father's handwriting and that in letters sent by the supposed killer, as well as the fact that George Hodel was a suspect during the initial investigation. The LAPD wiretapped Hodel's home in 1950, capturing him making suspicious statements such as, "Supposing I did kill the Black Dahlia, they can't prove it now." Despite these elements, no charges were ever filed against him, and the case remains open. In the aftermath of Short's murder, California State Assemblyman C. Don Field proposed legislation calling for the registration of sex offenders, a direct response to the public outcry over the case. This led California to become the first state to establish a sex offender registry, a significant development in criminal justice policy. Elizabeth Short was laid to rest at Mountain View Cemetery in Oakland, California. Her mother, Phoebe, relocated to Oakland to be near her daughter's grave, before eventually returning to the East Coast in the 1970s, where she lived until her death in 1992. Despite the passage of time, the murder of Elizabeth Short remains one of the most infamous unsolved cases in American history. The combination of the crime's gruesome nature, the victim's enigmatic life, and the myriad theories surrounding the case continue to fascinate and horrify, ensuring that the legend of the Black Dahlia endures in the annals of true crime. Investigators and amateur sleuths alike still analyze the evidence, hoping that one day a new discovery might finally unravel the mystery behind one of America's most haunting crimes.